We Need to Cure the Addiction by Joseph Siegel. We've all been paying for the war on drugs for decades now. It is a war on drug users, on people of color, and the working class, really. It is a war to feed the police and prison political industry. I say political industry because too many a politician have risen to power and jobs that pay lifetime pensions on the backs of inmates by touting themselves as tough on crime come election day. The payback comes in when the prison and law enforcement industry needs stricter mandatory minimum 3 strikes type laws to keep their private prisons at full capacity. When the courts intervene, as the federal courts did in California, ordering our state government to reduce the prison population because the treatment of prisoners in these overcrowded facilities amounted to cruel and unusual unconstitutional punishment, our governor shipped inmates to other for-profit prisons in other states and fought the courts to keep things the way they are. There is a sickness of addiction that threatens the fabric of our families, our communities, and our nation, and it must be addressed. When I have written that there is a sickness, I'm referring to an unquenchable desire for and an addiction to money. I'm referring to the folks at the very top, the hedge fund managers making billions of dollars a year, and not the average working person or professional. Yes, the rest of us have been kept in lack and want and desire and fear, all to fuel the transfer of wealth to the very top and keep us all working and shopping and trampling each other on Black Fridays. That's where wealth comes from. It comes from all of us. The problem is it doesn't stay with us. And it's not because we're all paying too much in taxes. It's because our wages are being kept low purposely. To hide it, we've been given access to credit card debt and home loans. Why? Because they learned they could make trillions of dollars from selling us debt. And it would let us think that we were still earning a livable wage, when in fact our wages have not gone up in real dollars, adjusted for inflation, since the 1970s. Most of the top 10% make all of their money from investment capital gains, which are taxed, as you know, from a much lower rate than the salary or earned income. So they are concerned with the debt and deficit, not with a debt to workers who brought them their success, not for investments in our roads, healthcare, and educational systems. The people who write the financial reports and report on the news, they are the 1% crowd as well. And they are prone to listen to the Wall Street crowd who, looking at the rising stock market, say, hey, things are pretty darn good. They pay mind to their investments because they see no connection to us. They feel no connection to us. They surround themselves with bigger houses and more rooms, with the need, and then they need with little thought to who's rough sleeping outdoors, who's homeless, and who has children to feed. So, shall we try to climb the ladder of success to get to the top ourselves? There's a problem with this vertical thinking of making it to the top and climbing a virtual ladder up to success. How many people have you ever seen on a ladder? There are people at the top busily sawing off rungs, like access to affordable higher education, like access to low-cost investment capital, and cutting off investments in early childhood education, known to have the greatest effect on increasing upward economic mobility. And these are not accidents. These people at the top who work at and own large portions of multinational corporations have accumulated so much wealth, they believe not only can they not live without it, but they need more and more, having already gained more than any person can spend in 100 lifetimes. That is the sickness I wrote about. They'll never know what too much is, and as a result, too many of us will never have enough. I believe with all my heart, mind, and soul, we must start expanding horizontally, not scrambling up some shaky, unsupportable ladder. We must move to worker-owned companies if we are to stop this horrible dash to the bottom where our jobs are moved from here to Mexico to Bangladesh to Vietnam in search of lower and lower wages and regulations. We have no bargaining power or upward leverage for our wages as corporate employees. Unions are all but non-existent and have been eviscerated in their power to protect workers. And we are little more than modern day serfs and coffee shop sharecroppers. And these multinational corporations, corporate cartels really, have zero stakes in our communities, in our schools, or in our children's success. They don't even recognize nation states and borders. They only know boardrooms, not borders. They know profits, not people. They know they need to grow their income statements. They don't care what statements from people like you and I, what our statements are in search of dignity and justice. Changing the tax code could be a good thing. Yes, I agree. But we can't change any laws until we change the lawmakers. We can't change the lawmakers until we change ourselves, how we think and act and shop and work. We have to recognize we make the rules and we grant the authority by the things that we accept or the things that we deny. We make the rules and grant the authority by the money we spend or the work we perform for others. We have to help teach people how to think. We can't tell them what to think. We have to help people understand at a gut level that we are all connected to each other and to everything. And we hold great power if we can simply reach out and take hold of each other, because that is where the power is. It is not in a law or a politician or a single brave leader. It is in the masses, the aggregate knowledge and passion and creativity of the masses working together for what is fair for our children and for their children. Until we reach out to each other in small groups in our communities to educate, collaborate, and innovate our solutions and participate in our resolution to lead ourselves to justice, we will remain just as we are. We cannot fight this like they fight the war on drugs with armed police and asset forfeitures with fear and misinformation. No, we must not return, that is, hate with hate. We have reason to be outraged, and they have created an outrage machine called the corporate mass media to feed us fear and distraction. The opposite of outrage is inner peace. The opposite of outrage is inner peace. We need calm minds and clear eyes to see solutions in each other and to work with each other. Reach out, expand our circles of compassion and collaboration. Move out of our circles of fear. Think and act with love, with brotherhood and sisterhood. Help each other with our dreams, our goals, our businesses, our challenges. Work hard to keep money in the hands of local, independently owned, and even worker-owned businesses in our communities, because we want to keep jobs and opportunities growing close to us. Disrupt the status quo. Use technology to create business opportunities outside the corporate monopoly's control. Most of all, love each other. It's a long struggle, but we have each other. Thank you. You can see more of my work at josephsegal.com. That's Joseph, S-E-G-A-L, Segal.com.